exercise will work on our upper intermediate course and Unit 1, third part, 1.3, vocabulary and skills development. Our goals here are guess the meaning of new words and plus verbs plus prepositions. Reading, guessing the meaning of new words. Exercise 1, work with the partner and discuss the questions. Pause the video, answer those questions in a written form. And now, if you have finished, let's look at the possible answers. In which situations do people whistle? Well, people may whistle when they want to get someone else's attention, to appreciate the work, to show the appreciation after some performances, and when they're in a long distance, to call someone to come towards them. 2. Is whistling acceptable in your culture for both men and women? Well, it's not acceptable, it's actually rude. Well, most uncultured people whistle a lot among men, and women, like you never see women whistling, and mostly men, and mostly, well, you cannot say blue-collar workers. It just depends on person's upbringing and person's education. Exercise 2. Listen to an extract from a podcast about an ancient whistling language and answer the questions.
Audio 1.4. How many whistling sounds are you familiar with? There are quite a few in common use, aren't there? We whistle when we want to get someone's attention. We whistle to show our appreciation, at a concert, for example. And then there's this whistle. But did you know that on the Spanish island of La Gomera, there is an entire whistling language? This language has existed for thousands of years and is still spoken, whistled today. Listen to this. Extraordinary, isn't it? Have you any idea what the conversation was about? Well, according to the translation I have here, they were discussing a party and one was asking the other to go and get a musical instrument to bring to it. The language is called Silbo Gomero, the whistling language of the island of La Gomera. Last year, I decided to go to La Gomera to find out for myself.
And now, if you have finished, let's look at the answers. 1. Where was the language used? Is it still used? Well, yes, on a Spanish island, La Gomera, and it's still being used now. 2. In the listening, you hear an example conversation between two whistlers. What is it about? Well, it's about be a party. Exercise 3. Read about Silbo Gomero and put the topics in the order they appear in the article. And now, if you have finished, let's check the answers. Well, 1. It's what it sounds like. 2. Its origins. 3. How the language is formed. 4. Reasons for its disappearance. 5. Attempts to revive it. Exercise 4A. Read the information in the Unlock the Code box and use the strategies to help you guess the meaning of the underlying words and phrases in the article. Unlock the code. Strategies for understanding new words. When you see a new word in a text, there are several strategies you can use to try to guess its meaning. 1. Look at the context, words before and after the new word. This can help you work out the part of a speech, whether it's adjective, noun, etc., and give you clues to guess the meaning. And here, example answers. Raven, line 8, deep ravens, it means it's a noun because it's just coming after adjective. It's something which is deep, steep hills and deep ravens. It's probably a kind of valley. And here look at the different part of the word. You might already know part of the word. And here the part is disapprove, line 31, dis plus approve. Use your own language. Sometimes the English word is similar to the word in your own language. And here the possible answer is unique. Line 3 is similar to Italian unico, and Slovak unikotin, and Indonesian unique. Exercise 4b, compare your ideas with a partner. Exercise 5, read the article again and answer the questions with a partner. And now, if you have finished, let's look at the answers. 1. Why is Silva Gomera ideal for communicating on La Gomera? Well, it's because it's difficult to travel across the island to speak to somebody because of the hills and ravines. It's easier to whistle. 2. What is known about the origins of the language? Well, we know the African inhabitants spoke it before the Spanish arrived in the 15th century. 3. Why is the language in decline? It's because some of the original speakers of the language emigrated in the 1950s. Then with the building of new roads and development of mobile phones, it was no longer necessary to whistle to each other. And 4. What efforts have been made to keep the language alive? Well, in 1999, the language was made compulsory in La Gomera's primary schools. And in 2009, it was awarded the UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity designation. 5. What do La Gomera inhabitants think should happen to the language? Well, they think, some of them think it's a pleasant language and that it should be left to die. And others think it's important to protect it because it's part of their identity. And also it's very useful to know it, as mobile phones don't work everywhere on the island. Vocabulary focus. Verbs, prepositions. Some verbs are usually followed by a particular preposition. These are followed by a noun, pronoun, or verb ing form. Verb plus preposition plus object. An example is, have you heard of Silva Gomera? Verb plus object plus preposition plus object is, example, it's easy to confuse Silva with Burton. And second example is an attempt to prevent the language from becoming extinct. Exercise 7. Look at the highlighted verbs and prepositions in the article and complete the table. And now, if you have finished, let's look at the answers. Prepositions and verbs. Of, it is hear of, consist of, disapprove of. On, it is depends on. To, it is adapt to, contribute to. With, confuse, from, prevent, in, communicate. Exercise 8a. Complete the sentences with the correct form of the verbs in the box. Pause the video, fill these gaps on your own. And now, if you have finished, let's check the answers together. Whistling trivia. 1. Henry Ford, the founder of the Ford Motor Company, banned his workers from whistling. 2. In Russia, it's believed that whistling indoors can result in bad luck. 3. In the USA and Canada, spectators at sports events whistle to express approval. However, in Europe and Brazil, they whistle when they disapprove of a referee's decision. 4. There is an old tradition amongst sailors that whistling can bring on a storm. 5. In Sullivan's Island, South Carolina, whistling in public can lead to a fine of $500. Exercise 8b. Add the verbs in the box in exercise 8a to the table in exercise 7. And now, let's look at the answers. Disapprove of, bring on, lead to, ban from, and result in. Exercise 9a. Complete the questions with the suitable verbs from exercise 7 and a. And now, if you have finished, let's look at the answers. 1. What factors do you think contribute to or lead to a person's happiness? 2. What does a healthy diet consist of? 3. Do you think we depend too much on computers? 4. Do you disapprove of e-cigarettes? Why not? 5. Do you think drivers should be banned from using mobile phones? Exercise 9b. Ask and answer the questions with a partner. Pause the video, give your written answers to these questions. And now let's look at the possible answers. Well, I think there are a lot of factors that contribute to a person's happiness. They are, well, number one is health. Number two is good relationship with family members and friends, good connection with their work, and last one probably wealth. And healthy diet consists of mostly animal fat and some greenery, not carbohydrate. And I think we depend too much on our computers, smartphones, and our gadgets, and we just spend half of our day on stick to them or just connected with them. And I had several of e-cigarettes because, well, it kills people. It's just really harmful for their health, and it may be harmful for their for the health of the people who are close to them, because they will be damaging directly these people too from secondhand smoking. And drivers should be banned from using mobile phones during driving, because, well, there are a lot of millions of people being killed every year due to reckless driving and using mobile phones while driving. That's the end of our today's lesson. See you in the next lessons.